What is going on, everybody? Hey, welcome back to another fantasy football stream. We're going to be going over our nuclear players number 5 and 6. So we're going to do kind of a short stream today, but I want to go over these two guys. We'll have some videos on them this weekend, and then we're going to go over 7 and 8 probably Saturday. So actually, we might go over the last 3. Really, I only have 9. We might come up with a 10th guy. I'm sure we could find one, but we'll you know, we're gonna go over 2 tonight, and then we'll go over 2 this weekend as well, at least maybe 3. So we will just have to see on that. So here we are on the nuclear page. I'm going to give you guys a little more details on these next 2 guys. I know I haven't, given up. I haven't given the most, the most analytics on a lot of these guys. I haven't gone over everything with them. But we're going to start doing that going forward. Start being more prepared to have a lot of, some of these stats, some of these advanced metrics. We went over some of the advanced metrics during the last broadcast when we went over our underdog fantasy team that we had, or the 2 underdog fantasy teams that we drafted from the number 2 spot. So with that being said, let's get right into this right now. Let me pause the music. We're gonna reveal number 5, fantasy nuclear player number 5. So here we go. Let's jump right into it. This is fantasy football nuclear player number 5 for the 2023 season. Let's roll it.
Tactical nuke incoming!
These players are going nuclear in 2023, dropping mushrooms on the competition. Draft as many nuclear players as you can to demolish other league members in fantasy football this year.
So can I get a drum roll, please? And we will reveal fantasy football nuclear player number 5. Here we go. Rhamondre Stevenson. So this was obviously the guy that we drafted last time. We went over his advanced metrics. We talked about why, we drafted him, I believe, in the 3rd round. We ended up getting Burrow in round 4. We took this guy in round 3. Obviously, we added Chase, Devontae Smith as well in the first 2 rounds. So we started off really good. I'm going to show you why Rhamondre Stevenson is a player you need to look out for in your fantasy football league. And not only that, but you can get him relatively cheap. You can get him in the 3rd round. I know we have a draft that is very it revolves much around out of position scoring. I don't know if there's a lot of people out there that do that stuff, but out of position scoring is like a receiver rushing for a touchdown, or a running back who receives for a touchdown. So Stevenson is very good at doing that. He's very good at receiving. He's very good at really just he's not your normal kind of running back who's going to carry it 300 times like a Zeke, like a Derrick Henry, and then run for a ton of yards. He can do that, but he's been utilized as a receiving back. He's very dark horse under the radar. A lot of people don't understand how good this guy really is. They don't understand that now that Damian Harris is out of town, his upside is through the roof. So we're going to pull up these metrics here. Actually, first I want to go over his, I'm just going to go over his game log and stuff, what he did last year. Also in auction league, this player here, Ramondre Stevenson, in auction league, he's a very underrated player who could go for a lot cheaper than some of these other backs that we're thinking about. I know last year he went fairly cheap in my league. I think even this year he can still go into that below $30 range. I think it's going to be close to that $30 range if I had to guess. But that is considerably cheap considering, Bijan, Barkley, McCaffrey, Eckler, Jonathan Taylor, all these other guys are going to be going in the 50 range or more easily. Stevenson could go much cheaper. And so I want to go over, let's go over his game log last year. His snap percent increased tremendously. I think once Damian Harris had missed a little bit of time, it's going to increase more so this year. It's going to be more reliable, more consistent. A little bit inconsistent last year. Remember, this is only his third year in the league, so he's still young. It's not like he's 28, 29 years old either. So last year, you look at his snap percentages, he started off 25%, 62% in week 2 and 3, 55% week 4, week 5, 90%, 6, 86%. He was very good fantasy producers in these weeks, in the weeks where he was getting about 70% or more. Week 6, 86%, week 7, 77, week 8, 63%, week 9, 73%. Then they had the bye week. And then he finished with 78, 82, 98, 22%. He must have missed some time in that game. He had 3 targets, 2 catches, 3 rushes. Week 15, 66%. Even with 66% of the snaps, he had 19 carries for 172 yards and a touchdown. And then he had like 2 catches for negative yardage. But he was almost 26 fantasy points that week. After that, 91% didn't really get going against Cincinnati. And then week 17, week 18, he played 57 and 49%. We could attribute that to, I'm trying to think why he didn't play more snap percentage. I think Harris was maybe back. I'm not quite sure. I didn't really follow the Patriots too much last year, but we do know how good Ramondre Stevenson is and how good he's going to be. His rookie year, he was ranked 47 in PPR fantasy. Last year was ranked 7th. He jumped 40 spots from 47 to inside the top 10 to 7. 210 carries, 1,040 yards, about 5 yards a carry, almost 5 touchdowns, and then obviously the 69 receptions on 88 targets. That's weird how it says 88 on here. I've looked at other places, it says 89 targets. 89 targets, 69 catches, just over 400 yards. Only 1 receiving touchdown. And only 5 rushing touchdowns. He's had 5 rushing touchdowns in his rookie year and last year. So back-to-back years, he's had 5 rushing touchdowns. Look for that number to increase this year. Damian Harris is gone. James Robinson is the, I guess the backup. Really, I think they're going to use Pierre Strong as the change of pace back with Stevenson. Stevenson's not really a burner by any stretch of the imagination. He ran a 4.64 his pro day a couple years ago. But he's a big back, 230 pounds, 6 foot. He's in that. Look, there's Derrick Henry, and then there's like Stevenson and Najee Harris, who are kind of the next bigger guys, really. I mean, AJ Dillon's up there too. AJ Dillon's a little heavier in the weight category, closer to 250. But so let's bring out. I'm gonna bring out these cutouts. Here we go. We're gonna talk about Stevenson. Here he is. Like I said, his workout metrics: a 4.64 40-yard dash pro day. Speed score is decent. Burst score is not that great. It could be a little better. I will say though, this is a running back who is better on tape. He looks better in the games we've seen him play than what his workout metrics actually show. So, what does that mean? That just means maybe he had a bad workout day. Maybe he had a bad combine. Maybe he even had a bad, pro day as well. Now, do I think he's faster? Not really. I think his 40-yard dash time is correct. It's not like, oh, he should have ran a 4.5. I don't think that at all. But his agility score, that doesn't surprise me how much better his agility score is. His agility score, look, that's the ability to move in and out of cuts, to make cuts, get by defenders, shed tackles, make guys miss out in space, and he shows that he can do that on a very consistent basis. He shows the time, he shows the ability to do all that stuff. We look at his metrics here from last year. We went over them, but we're going to go over them again. Opportunity share, he's almost top 15. That's really good. Snap share is decent. I think snap share, look, both of these are going to get better. The opportunity share is the touches overall. So carries and targets, the amount of receptions he's getting, basically. The weighted opportunities puts more of a weight on the receiving category. That's why he's top 6. That's why he's 6th ranked overall. All of these could potentially get better this year now that Damien Harris is gone. This guy is a very good receiving threat, though, in the passing game out of the backfield. I think they're going to continue to use him that way. Carries could also increase. 210 is not bad, though, considering all circumstances last year. 210 is not bad. I believe Belichick, Bill O'Brien, I believe they're going to be ready to use Ramondre Stevenson, unlock his full potential, and use him as much as they can this year. He is the number 1 back with limited competition. He avoided the draft. He avoided a running back being drafted. Pierre Strong is probably going to be the change of pace back. Pierre Strong will be the change of pace back, more than likely. James Robinson, I'm not really worried about James Robinson whatsoever if I'm drafting Ramondre Stevenson. Robinson was bound to be second fiddle last year when he played with Etienne in Jacksonville. We knew Etienne was going to be taken over. Eventually he did, and they got rid of Robinson. They shipped him to New York. Now he's in New England. He's not taking any significant playing time away from Stevenson. So, targets number 3 in the league. This is really good for a running back. Like I said, if you're drafting a running back like Nick Chubb, you're taking a gamble on somebody like him, especially when he's in year 6 and he's had some injury history. I would much rather take Ramondre Stevenson over Chubb. It's not even close. Chubb, on average is about 23 catches a year. If you're in a league where you need receptions from the running back, or if you're just in a league where you're full PPR, half PPR, there's going to be, you're just going to be better equipped if you have Ramondre Stevenson over Nick Chubb. If Chubb doesn't go get you 1,500 rushing yards, you're going to be in trouble. Stevenson can do everything. He can run the ball. He averaged 5 yards a pop, 210 carries, as you see right here, this number. And right here, targets 89. He caught 69 of them last year. Number 3 targets. The red zone touches, 6 goal line, 38 total. This is top 15. This is going to get better now that Damien Harris is gone. This could easily be top 10 this year. So let's move on down to his productivity here. Productivity. He was still top 12 in rushing yards. This is pretty crazy to think that he was top 12 in rushing yards, considering really when we just went over his game log, he had a lot of games where, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to remember if Harris was back in the lineup or what. Harris was still kind of a shadow. He was still kind of there. I think he missed a few games, but he did come back. He ended up kind of eating into Stevenson's workload. We've seen the 2 games, though, where we know Harris missed those games, and Stevenson went crazy. So I know the metrics are not the best for Stevenson, but I don't really think it matters too much. We know what he is. We've seen him play. He's just a guy that looks better on tape. He looks better in these games than really what his metrics actually show. So I'm going to kind of put that to the side. Receiving yards, though, top 10. This could get better too. This could really, you could see this eclipse 500 easily this year. Receptions, like I said, he's top 5. I would expect him to remain top 5 in that category as long as he doesn't get injured, obviously. Total touchdowns, 6. Remember, he had 5 rushing touchdowns his rookie year. He had 5 rushing touchdowns last year, and then obviously he got another touchdown receiving last year. This is a number that's also going to increase. It just has to. It has to. And he has a very good red zone touches rate. I mean, his red zone touches, he was top 15. So the more that increases, the more the total touchdowns are going to increase. Red zone touches equals fantasy points, basically. You know, or it equals touchdowns. The more opportunities to get a touchdown, which is going to equal more fantasy points. So expect those numbers to increase. Fantasy points per game and all this stuff. You know, top 10. We don't really need to go over that. That's, you know, expected fantasy points. So really, you know, he was expected to get more fantasy points slightly than what he got last year, but I mean, that's last year. So let's go to his advanced receiving. This is the really telling sign for a running back in fantasy. The advanced receiving and the efficiency are kind of 2 of the key things. We'll go over efficiency next. Advanced receiving, though, target share. This is out of all the running backs. This isn't everybody in the league, by the way. So number 4, he was the 4th best target share running back. This is a very key number. This is a key number. Alvin Kamara was number 1 in this. We went over Kamara the other day. He's number 1. Number 2, or no, take that back. Kamara was number 3. McCaffrey was number 1. I'm trying to think of who number 2 was. I believe Kamara was number 3, though. Stevenson's number 4. So if you're looking for, like, if you miss out on Kamara, which obviously Kamara with the suspension lingering upon us, you know, we don't know if we want to go after him anyways. But if you miss out on McCaffrey, this is going to be one of the next best guys as far as receiving capability out of the backfield for a running back. Bijan is also going to be really good in this department. So will Breece Hall, if Breece Hall stays fairly healthy. Breece Hall was like a 13% target share, but he missed a lot of time, obviously, so his number could have been better. But Stevenson's probably, look, out of all the guys we're naming off here, McCaffrey, Kamara, of course, Kamara's suspension looming, so we're not going to really factor him, but Bijan, Breece Hall. Stevenson is the cheapest out of all these guys when it comes to, as far as it comes to auction value, and more than likely he's going to go a little later in redraft. Not much. He's going 3rd round in redraft, so is Breece Hall. But as far as who goes before, you know, if it's Breece Hall or Stevenson is usually going after Breece Hall most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. Routes ran, top 6. Route participation. This is also another good metric to look at. Top 6. This could get better as well. look, Damien Harris is gone. I know I keep saying it, but Damien Harris is gone. We don't know how much of his full potential is really still out there. I think they're going to unlock. I think the coaches unlock all of his capabilities this year. They use him more so than ever before going into year 3, and you're looking at a potential top 3 running back in the league this year, fantasy football wise. Catch rate's decent. Drops, obviously, he was number 2 in drops last year at the running back position. That's going to happen when you're getting almost 90 targets. I wouldn't worry too much about that number. I said it last time, I'll say it again. I wouldn't worry about this number at all. It's going to happen when you're getting 90 targets or even potentially 100 targets this year. So let's go down to his efficiency. These stats are all on Player Profiler, by the way. This is his Player Profiler. You go to Player Profile website, you can check these out. You don't have to rely on me or anybody else. You can go look at these for yourself on any player. You type in their name, they will bring up their metrics. You can go down to the bottom, it'll bring up these advanced receiving stats, efficiency, productivity, everything. So I highly recommend, if you're interested in any type of player, whether it's a receiver, tight end, quarterback, whatever, this is the best place to go check out these particular stats, these particular metrics, so you know what you're looking for, and you know what these guys, and this is based off last year. You can go back 2 years, 3 years. You can go by game if you want as well, but I highly recommend Player Profiler. They have these available right here, these metrics available, which are very important. So efficiency, yards per carry, it was 5. It was really 4.95, so rounded up to 5 yards a carry. True yards per carry, 4.6. True yards per carry factors out any carry that was over 10 yards, so to try to give you a more consistent value. This really isn't bad. I know it could be better, obviously, but he's above league average at like 4.3, 4.4, even in true yards per carry. So that's a good sign. And then obviously his juke rate, evaded tackles, number three. So third most evaded tackles. Juke rate is basically the percentage of likelihood of an evaded tackle per carry. So he's got a 40.5% likelihood of evading a tackle per carry. That's pretty good. Breakaway run rate, this could get better. This isn't going to get much better though, really. Breakaway runs, that's really good. Breakaway run rate, it's not really going to get too much better than this because he's not a fast back. You see his metrics over here, right here. If I can highlight it down here on his Player Profiler, he's not the fastest back in the world. He is very shifty, and he can make guys miss out in the open field, and he's a bigger back who's harder to bring down. So, as far as the breakaway run rate, though, it's, him breaking. I mean, he's going to break off some runs, obviously. He broke off 15 last year. But is he going to hit home runs for you? Is he going to catch a ball at the 20 and just take it to the house? Yeah, not likely. He's going to be met with plenty of defenders by that time. Even if he gets a seam down the field, he's going to get run down. He's going to get chased down by somebody. Now, whether or not they bring him down is another thing. They're going to chase him down, but they still got to make the tackle. That's the good. That's the good thing about Stevenson is he's a big guy, 231 pounds, 6 foot almost. He's not an easy guy to bring down. So, just like Derrick Henry could break one, but he might get caught by somebody. But by the time they catch him at the 10 yard line after he broke one off, it's a matter of, can they bring him down? So let's go down to his next efficiency category. This one, there's a couple things we can go over here. Run blocking rate. This is yards blocked per carry and stuff run rate at running back experience, unified into a metric measuring the efficiency of the offensive line run blocking. So this could get better. Yards created. This is another key metric as far as fantasy goes. He's creating yards by himself. He's creating yards by himself, and he was top 10 in it last year. Yards created per touch, top 6. This is all good. You know, this is good stuff right here. A guy who can create for himself is a guy to look out for. It means they don't have to rely on having the best offensive line. They don't have to rely on, you know, being wide open and not having defenders near them and good route running. It means they can create when they need to, whenever plays break down. If he catches a ball out in the flat, he can create something. He's very good with the ball in his hands. He's very shifty. He's very good at evading tackles. And so this is why Ramondre Stevenson is our nuclear player number 5. This is exactly why he is nuclear player number 5. And he's going to be cheaper than most of the other household name guys at running back position that go before him or go right around where he goes. Like Jacobs, Henry. People that pass on Jacobs and Henry and go get Stevenson and redraft in round 3, like on Underdog, those are guys that know what they're doing, because Stevenson's younger than both of those guys. He's got the full workload coming his way this year, and his metrics are really better as far as fantasy value goes. Henry's going to be 30 years old. Jacobs is on a bad Raider team who's getting a little older, who was just the leading rusher last year. So a lot of people have skepticism as whether or not Jacobs can do that again, especially with no Derek Carr there and Jimmy G now at quarterback. So like, I have my doubts about those guys. Obviously Breece Hall could go before Stevenson in some drafts, but the injury kind of, a lot of people are worried about the injury or coming back from the injury. So, but Stevenson, Henry, Jacobs, Hall, trying to think of who else off the top of my head. Those guys are the main guys in round 3. ETN is also there at kind of the end of round 3. I do like ETN a little bit, but Stevenson is nuclear player number 5 for this reason, and he's going to be fully unlocked this season with nobody in the backfield really to take away much of his production. So Stevenson is definitely out there. He's not a guy who everybody's like, oh my god, I love this guy. Stevenson is a guy who's out there that a lot of your friends are not going to really think about being better than Derrick Henry or better than Breece Hall or even better than Jacobs after Jacobs' season that he had last year. So I highly recommend Stevenson in round 3. Really, in a normal league, in my opinion, in a normal league, especially one that is very running back oriented, Stevenson's he's going to go at like the end of round 2. David, if you're out there listening for the Seltzer League, he's going to go probably late round 2, mid round 2, if I had to guess. He will not go round 1 though. He will not, unless somebody reaches on him. So I would highly recommend somebody like this for that at Seltzer League, where they have double points for out of position scoring. So all right, let's move on to our second guy here. Let's move on to our second guy for the day, and nuclear player number 6 overall.
Tactical nuke incoming!
These players are going nuclear in 2023, dropping mushrooms on the competition. Draft as many nuclear players as you can to demolish other league members in fantasy football this year.
All right, let me get the drum roll, please. Chris Olave, he is nuclear player number 6. The reason being is because of what he did last year. Now he's moving into the number 1 role in New Orleans, and let's get into his game log here from last year. I own this guy in my auction league. I'm keeping this guy obviously in my auction league. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, and I'm gonna break down exactly why in just a moment here. Might as well just go to my team right here since he's here. So Chris Olave last year, look, he got off to a little bit of a slow start, and I think he ended up missing a couple of games actually. Cincinnati and Cleveland, 1 at home, 1 away. I mean, look, he showed signs of what we thought he could be. Okay, he showed signs of potential, and I think that potential is it's getting better and better as the year went on last year, and I think it's going to increase some more this year. So, he started off. He really didn't play as much of the snap percentage as we are looking for, really. It's going to, I think, it's going to be in the 80s to 90s or above this year, I think, most games. He is a perennial starter who is going to be the number 1 guy, more than likely, this year. I know a lot of people are still a little high on Mike Thomas. We got to get the music back up. I know a lot of guys are still a little high on Mike Thomas, but Mike Thomas is injury plagued. He's still nursing the injury from last year right now as we speak. Mike Thomas is a guy who's about to be 30 years old, who's had these injuries year after year. He sat out the 1 year. He's never really going to be the same guy that we thought he was back when he caught 149 balls. He's not going to be that guy ever again, in my opinion. Really, he's going to be lucky if he can really do much of anything in the next 2 years. I don't even know how much longer, his lifespan as far as being fantasy relevant, really being relevant in the NFL. I don't think it's going to last much longer. So Olave is the future. He is the guy. Started off playing 74, 75, 77% of snaps the first 3 weeks. Then week 4 and 5, 68 and 40. I believe that was the game he got hurt, though. Week 5 against Seattle, he only played 40% of snaps. That was the game he had the concussion. That was the concussion game. He came down on his head a little bit when he caught the ball, and he left the game, never returned with the concussion. Then he sat out week 6 because of the concussion. They gave him another week, I believe. Came back, 76% of the snaps, 58, 90, 77, 49. It's funny because the game he played 49% of the snaps, that was his best fantasy game of the year. That was at home against the Rams, where he caught 5 balls for 102 and a touchdown. 67 after that, 69. Then they had the bye week, 49% of snaps again. Week 15, week 16 he missed, and then 61 and 60 to finish off the year. So those numbers need to get better. We want to see 80% of snaps at least in these games going forward here this year, hopefully. But he's able to produce on a low snap percentage. It's not like, he only played 50% of the snaps or 60% of the snaps and he didn't do anything. This game where he had 50% or 49 against the Rams, he had just under 24 fantasy points, went for 100 yards and a touchdown. So he is a deep threat. He's a deep threat. He's a guy who runs down the field. He can get the defense over the top, obviously, and he's a very good route runner. So he look for him to be maybe here in 2 years, 3 years, probably he's going to be in that category with Jefferson and Chase as some of the best route running wide receivers in the NFL. Very good route runner. So let's move to his player profiler. Let's move to his metrics here. So here he is out of Ohio State. You see he ran a 4.39 40, so 94th percentile. That's really good for a receiver. Obviously, it's funny that he compares. He's best comparable to Garrett Wilson, his college teammate at Ohio State, who was also drafted in the same draft that he was. I believe 1 pick ahead of him. So, you know, it's pretty funny that they're both comparable to each other. He's obviously a little faster than Wilson. I think Wilson ran like a 4.45 or something. You know, he doesn't have his catch radius or agility score. He doesn't have that on here. So, you know, it is what it is. His catch radius, though, it's probably not bad if I had to guess. Speed score is also decent for a receiver. So, look, he's 6 foot, 190 pounds. He could, you know, you'd like him to be around 200 pounds, but you know, he flies down the field though as well. So let's get into his opportunities here. Let's go over the first one first. Hold on. So targets, top 20, target share, top 15. This is really, really good. Look, this right here is good. 26.7% target share his rookie season, 20% in the red zone. This number is likely going to increase as well. But like both of these numbers should increase a smidge here, I think. Now that he is truly the #1 guy in town. So, look, anything over 25% target share is considered great. It's considered elite, really, to a degree. I wouldn't say it's like super elite, but it's what you want. You want 25% or more. If you go check out any receiver that you're interested in on Player Profiler, if you go look at anything, you know, for a receiver, look at their target share. This number you want to be 25% or more. If you're talking 30% or more, you're talking like really best of the best players. These guys that have 30% or more, or guys that are separate themselves from the guys who are already good for the most part. Target share is good because that's basically it measures the percent of all team passing targets distributed amongst, you know, the receivers on that team. So he is one of the main guys in the offense. Target rate also, that's targets per route run. He's top 10 in receivers. That's really good. Snap share, like I said, this needs to get better, but this will get better. This is a concerning number, but it's going to be around 90% if I had to guess this year, which is way better than what this number is already. Route participation, you'd like to see this be a little better as well. Route participation is routes ran per team pass play. So out of all the pass plays that this team is running, he's running a route on 88% of them. We want to see this like 95 or higher, really. That's where you guys seen Chase. Chase had 100% route participation. That's why Chase is obviously on the list. But that's what you want. You want him. That means every time they're passing the ball, he's involved. You know, is what that means. And so route participation, we'd like to see about 95% would be ideal. Air yards. This is a key number as well. He had a ton of air yards, 1670. And really, this is because he's a burner. He's a deep threat. A lot of these burner deep threat guys are going to have air yards down the field. He's top 8, top 10. And really, let's look at where's his unrealized air yards. He had the 5th most unrealized air yards as well, which unrealized air yards are his total air yards minus his actual yards, which means if he's top 5 or better for the most part, that means he had a bunch of yards out there that were left on the field that he didn't get, that he could have had. Air yards, look, you get a bunch of air yards because of deep throws for the most part. If a 50-yard ball was thrown to this guy and he missed it, or he didn't catch it, or if it was a bad throw because of bad quarterback play, which, you know, newsflash alert, he had Andy Dalton as his quarterback last year. So Derek Carr, in my opinion, is better than Andy Dalton. I wouldn't say he's a ton better, but he's a step in the right direction as far as better quarterback play goes. So, I mean, Davante Adams had a pretty decent year in fantasy last year with Derek Carr as his quarterback for all except 2 games. So look for Olave to kind of take that roll over as far as what Davante Adams did last year. Air yard share, top 3. Average depth of target distance, top 10. This is also really good. You want to see this about right here, about 14 or higher, really. 15, 16 is obviously good. This is how far they are down the field on average when they are targeted. You know, anything about 13 or more is pretty good. 15 is really good. You've seen Pickens. All the guys that catch deeper balls, guys that go deep a lot, guys that are deep threats, these guys' numbers are really good. And obviously that's good for us because the bigger chunk yardage plays they get, the more fantasy points we're looking at. Deep targets, once again, this is also a good metric to have. Top 5, 29 deep targets. Red zone targets, this is another key metric as well. We want our guys to be targeted in the red zone as much as possible. I think this number gets better, though. This number will get better this year now that Carr is a quarterback. The only thing that kind of hurts this metric for him, that's always going to hurt this metric for him, is Kamara was kind of, you know, Kamara could have been an issue for this reason. But we're looking at suspension with Kamara this year potentially as well. Of course, how much he gets suspended, we don't know. I don't think it's going to be that much considering they haven't done anything yet. They didn't do anything last year either. But having Taysom Hill on the team, this is a factor of why this number right here is where it is, more than likely. Taysom Hill, he's a fantasy football, you know, point thief essentially, especially for this team, because they love to use him in these utility situations where they just run him as a running back, yada yada, and you know, he ends up scoring or whatever. Now, he didn't score as much last year, Taysom Hill. He had that one big game, but that was about it. Catchable target rate, this also needs to increase. This is not good at all, really, considering how many targets he had, considering catches he had, and how much he was utilized. Catchable target rate is basically what is the percentage of him catching the ball on targets that he should have caught. So he had 119 targets, but right here you see in parentheses 90 targets. That's how many of the 119 were catchable. But that's also kind of bad, really, because that's about that's 29 targets out there that were not catchable. That goes back to Andy Dalton being the quarterback. Now that Derek Carr is the quarterback, not that I say, you know, Derek Carr is really, really good, but he's better than Dalton. So this could also increase. 119 targets for your rookie season is pretty good as well. So Chase had 128 targets his rookie season. Last year he had 134. He's in the ballpark of good numbers like what Chase had, like what Jefferson also had. So if he follows in their footsteps, that's a good thing. Let's go down to receptions. So 72, obviously 90 were catchable, 119 total targets. How much better does he get this year? I would say if I had to put a number on it, he goes for 93 to 96 catches, somewhere in that ballpark. It's going to be close to 100. Obviously, he missed 2 games last year, so you factor that in as well. This could easily get close to 100. If it gets to like 110, I'll be celebrating because I think that's going to be really good for him. I mean, you go from 72 to 110 catches in 1 year. That's very, very good. Receiving yards, this could get better, but being top 20 as a rookie is not bad. I mean, I know a lot of people want this number to be better, but you got to take all things into consideration. He was a rookie. He had a bad quarterback in Andy Dalton, so these numbers will get better. They will get better. They have to get better, especially with how much the snaps he was playing. He was only playing about 75% of the snaps as well. So, see, unrealized air yards right here. That's how many air yards were left out there on the football field. He was top 5. The guy who's like number 1, I believe last year, and really he's always in the top 3 like every year, has always been DJ Moore, because DJ Moore's never had a good quarterback. He's always been targeted a lot. He's always been the number 1 guy on his team in Carolina. DJ Moore was always number 1 in this category. Olave's top 5. Guys that are good receivers that have bad quarterbacks are always top 5 in this category right here. Always, or at least top 10 for the most part. So we see the upgrade at quarterback in Derek Carr. Like I said, I know Derek Carr's no Joe Burrow. He's no Tom Brady. But I think he is significantly better than Andy Dalton. Enough to where these numbers come up, you know, pretty significantly to really increase his numbers in fantasy production. So, I mean, you look at his expected fantasy points per game, you know, and how many points he actually did average. So, you know, obviously he didn't meet the expectation, but it was close. Let's move down to his efficiency here. Target accuracy. See, this is another number right here. Target accuracy. This needs to be 8 or above. It's 7.2. That's how accurate the targets are coming his way from the quarterback. So, yeah, target accuracy, it's outside the top 50. This should get better this year as well. Trying to see what other metrics that we can go over here. True catch rate is an important one. 80%. This isn't terrible. But this is going to get better with better quarterback play. Okay, it's going to get better with better quarterback play. So all these other efficiency categories you can go over. I'm not going to go over them. They're you know, target separation's a little bit important, but that could obviously get better. He had 5 drops last year. Obviously we would like 0, but I'm going to put a lot of this on his quarterback last year. Andy Dalton, I mean, past his prime, really should be a backup quarterback. So Chris Olave, though, Chris Olave is nuclear player number 6. This is the list so far. We got Bijan, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Go get the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack if you can. I think it's the best stack in the league. It's really one of the best strategies to go after in terms of best ball or just any draft in particular. Garrett Wilson, we also like Garrett Wilson. Stevenson and Olave, we just went over both of these guys. I really like the value on Stevenson this year. Go get Stevenson. Even if he is your RB1, go get Stevenson. Some of the tactics I've tried to use and say like redraft is like it just depends on where you're drafting, but I would say this: if you're drafting anywhere from the number 5, really the number 4 spot, all the way up to number 8. 8's a tough one though. 8's very tough because 8 is, I believe, the 32nd overall pick, if I'm not mistaken. It's like 32nd or 33rd pick in the 3rd round. This guy's ADP is about 32, 31. I probably moved it up because I drafted him in the 2nd round the other day just to be that guy. But if you have the 4 to the 7 pick, you can get Stevenson in the 3rd round if somebody doesn't snipe you, and if you know, or if somebody doesn't take him in the 2nd round like what I did in that one draft. So go get 2 receivers if you're in those slots, unless you get Bijan in the 1st round. But if you don't get Bijan in the 1st round, go get 2 receivers and then go get Stevenson in the 3rd round. That is my best advice I can tell you if you're picking from spot 4, 5, 6, or 7. That's what I would do. Because you want to go get, there's really not a running back out there I think you should take your chance on, unless it's Bijan in the first round. There's no other running back I would want to go get in round 2. And then if you don't get Bijan in round 1, you got to go Tyreek Hill. You got to go, Garrett Wilson maybe, or you could go AJ Brown, Cooper Kupp maybe if you want to, or Stephon Diggs. But I would go get 2 receivers and then try to go get Stevenson in round 3. That's just that'd be my strategy. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video today, this live stream. We're going to make a video out of both of these guys. We'll post them over the weekend. Like I said, we will go over our nuclear player 7, 8, and 9. I'll see if I can get another guy for 10. I don't know where we're going to put him on the page here. We're going to have to shuffle some things around, but we will go over those guys on Saturday more than likely, and then we will be making videos starting tomorrow. I'll try to get a video out by Friday night or Saturday morning. So it's just tough with work, man. Working nights. I wanted to make videos today, and I came home from work and I went to sleep immediately, and so that's why we're doing this now. I got a couple hours before I go to work, so maybe I'll try to get a video out there. I did put 2 TikToks up. I also put those same videos on YouTube. They're YouTube shorts, and I got them on Facebook, so go ahead and check those out. We're basically just going over people's drafts in the underdog drafts that we did. We did those live. We reacted to them live whenever I was checking out other people's teams, checking out what their strategies were, why they were doing the stuff that they were doing, passing on guys, drafting whoever they drafted. We had a guy, I think in the video we uploaded today, who didn't draft a running back for the first 6 rounds, so we kind of we had some fun with that video, and I figured I'd share that with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. Like I said, follow me on those social media sites. We will catch you guys probably Saturday. I'll try to have some videos out tomorrow. I won't do a live stream, so I'll try to catch you guys Saturday. So have a good one. I am out of here.